Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today we are starting a vlog. The purpose of this vlog is unclear. I mean, it is clear, but also I still haven't really decided what I want to read for it. So unclear. The purpose of this vlog was going to be like catching up on my reading goals, but I'm doing not terribly with my reading goals, to be honest. So we got the bullet journal out. So my 5 reading goals of the year were get my currently reading series down to 15, get my owned TBR down to 10 to 15, read 12 books that are over 500 pages, which I've already done. I think I finished that in May. It's just last year I was really slumpy and I read like basically no big books, whereas this year I have been eating them. And then read 5 to 10 self-published / indie books. Again, I completed that, I think, a good few months back. And then read 100 books, which I have already completed. I think I'm on 118. And then channel goals, 2 pieces of content a week. I'm sorry, I failed. Whoopsies. More ranking authors. I mean, I technically did 1, and there is another one coming, or will already be up. So I've technically done that, because 1 is technically more. And then more themed reading vlogs. I do think I've done a good few themed reading vlogs this year, including this one. So again, I think success. And also bring back my TBR game, which I've also done. So yes, so I'm not doing too bad on those, but the owned TBR down to 10 to 15, yeah, we got problems there. And get your currently reading down to 15. I'm actually doing pretty good at. So I have a Notion page that I keep that I have as a series tracker. I actually want to make an Excel sheet, but I'm too lazy. I want to make one like either Becca or Meg's, which both of theirs are kind of similar. But as I said, that would take effort and I don't want to do that. I am currently on top of this goal because I recently went through and I DNF'd a whole load of series. So in total, I have 161 series on my Notion page. I have 65 finished, 63 I have DNF'd, I have 15 currently reading, and then I have 18 that are up to date. Actually, yeah, I might actually need to change it. So the Luminaries, actually I need to move that into currently reading because The Hunting Moon recently came out, but I will be reading that in a different vlog, so that will be moved back in pretty soon, hopefully. Murderbot will also be getting moved in and then moved directly back out. So I'm not going to bother moving it because the book isn't out yet, so I am still technically currently up to date. And also I will be reading it the day it comes out, so again, that will be another video. So the series that are actually on my currently reading, I have 16 since I now moved the Luminaries back in there. So we have Six Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lim, The Great Coats by Sebastian de Castell, Fitz and the Fool by Robin Hobb, Imperium by Claire L. Grand, The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon, The Locked Tomb series by Tamsin Muir, Memoirs of Lady Trent, The Royal Champion by G.M. White, The Inheritance Trilogy by N.K. Jemisin, The Book of the Ancestor by Mark Lawrence, Queens of Renthia by Sarah Beth Durst, Burning Blade and Silver Eye by Django Wexler, The Trials of Apollo by Rick Riordan, Rolling in the Deep by Mira Grant, The Legends of the First Empire by Michael J. Sullivan, and The Luminaries by Susan Dennard. So now we're up to 16. Try and get some books off my TBR. Currently, I am absolutely failing. I think I have 21 books. Again, we have another spreadsheet to look at. I have 21 books on my physical TBR, and I will say, because like I'm definitely going to fail this goal if I go till the end of the year because I'll get Christmas presents and stuff. So I'm like kind of not including Christmas presents in this, like they don't exist, right? They definitely count, but whatever. So I suppose we're gonna take out all of the books and we're gonna do this logically. So I'll see you in a minute. We're actually at 23 books. I need to update my spreadsheet. I think it's these two that I haven't actually added in. But anyway, so these are the 23 books currently on my physical TBR. So, but first, let's take away the sequels that I obviously cannot read yet. So now that leaves us with 16 books that I could possibly read for this. But as I said, I'm going to be doing another edition of my anticipated releases of the year, and so we can take away The Hunting Moon and The Waking of Angat Deer. Now we are down to 14 books. I am also planning on doing a revisiting my past book hauls, my 4th quarter edition, and so for that we can get rid of, see, a lot of these books could actually fit into it, but I think the ones that I'm going to be reading for it are Jade City, The Lies of Locke Lamora, Promise of Blood, and Malice by John Gwynne. So we can get rid of those 4 as well. Okay, so then I think next we can get rid of After the Vars, because I think I'm going to keep my Illumicrate books and do a vlog where I read like my 3. I signed up for a 3-month subscription, so I think I'm going to save all 3 and do a vlog. So then these. Theft of Swords, can go because it's the first in the series, and we don't want to be starting any more series. That means that our prophecy can also go. That means Bonchard Daughter can go. So then I think I don't want to read this. Then also that's the wrong one. That's supposed to be The Burning Maze. I had them in the wrong order. Ignore them. Okay, these are the current selection. But we'll see. Okay, so obviously you saw my little stack of books, but I also went through the list. I already read it out to you. And so I now have a list of 8 books. And over the next week, 9 days. For the next 9 days, I'm going to see how many of them I can read. So we have Rolling the Deep by Mary Grant. That will finish a series. The Burning Maze. That will continue a series. Also work towards a ranking author video and get something off my physical TBR. Holy Sister finishes a series. Broken Kingdom, ranking author, off my physical TBR, continue series. Harrow the Ninth only would do anything towards continuing a series. Fool's Quest, ranking author, physical TBR, continue series. Saint's Blood, continue series, physical TBR. Dragon's Promise finishes a series. So yeah, so we're going to see how many of the 8 I can get done. So I'm currently 1/3 of the way into Holy Sister. I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but I think I'm going to take a break from that to read Rolling the Deep because it's 3 hours long. Okay, so as I said, I am about 1/3 of the way into Holy Sister, and I am taking a break, but that doesn't matter. And I will leave the light shows for the first and second book down below. The third one was supposed to be last Sunday. It did not happen. Cassidy was sick. I also had not even started the book on Saturday. So probably for the best. But I do not understand why the format of this series has changed. Because, okay, in the first book, there was flash forwards, but only at there was only 3. Which I still don't know where in the timeline that is. I still don't know. And then the second book, I don't think there was any messing around with the timeline. And then in this one, the entire book is split present day 3 years ago, or at least so far. And why? That's literally all I can say about this book. I don't think Mark Lawrence's writing style or characters or anything like that gel with me, but I think that's all more personal preference than actual issues. But I genuinely take issue with this. I'm why would you do this? Why would you do this? I feel like it's taking a lot of the tension out. I think things are so easy for Nona. At some point, it annoys me because there was an instance in the last book and an instance in this book, and I'm just I want her to fail at this, and she never does. And obviously you don't want the character to fail when it comes to life or death scenarios or whatever. Sometimes in the little things it's nice to see them fail. So yeah. So I read Rolling the Deep by Mary Grant. I always doubt that that's the title because I just think of Adele. I gave it a 3-star. I enjoyed it, which is why it's a 3-star. But so this is a novella, and it is actually set on the original, I was about to say cruise. It is not a cruise. Expedition slash mockumentary crew that was sent to the Mariana Trench to make a documentary about mermaids, and then obviously killer mermaids. And obviously Into the Drowning Deep, I read last month. I really enjoyed it. I'll leave the blog down below. I mean, novellas are never really my thing, and I do think this is a good novella. If you like novellas, then you will probably like this. And if you like Into the Drowning Deep, I do recommend it. But it's just because of the fact it's a novella,
it didn't give me enough time to get attached to the characters to care about anything that happens, and also I already knew what was going to happen. But despite that, I still think she does a good job of having you root for the characters. Like, obviously I didn't like love or become attached to them because of, as I mentioned, the length and also just already knowing what happens. But I did find myself at moments being like, oh, these seem like good people. I'm sorry for them. Like, you did kind of feel that sympathy, like, these would be really interesting people to follow, like, for much longer or whatever, or to just, like, you know, follow in their life, in their work, and all of this stuff. And obviously, that does not happen. So, like, I did find that really interesting. I honestly think maybe, though, that this would have worked best as nearly more of a slasher kind of novella, because, which, like, there's positives and negatives, because on, like, the one hand, then it just wouldn't match the tone and feeling of Into the Drowning Deep, whereas this does a pretty good job of matching that, like, science-based nature, that uneasy feeling, and that is very similar, exactly how I felt as Into the Drowning Deep. But I think in Into the Drowning Deep, obviously, because you don't know what's going to happen, obviously it's those kind of feelings are heightened, whereas in this one, like, you do feel uneasy and you do feel that tension, but not as strongly. So, like, and again, like, you get all those science details, really fascinating. Like, on the one hand, like, it matches the tone, so, like, yeah, it's a series, makes sense. So, like, that's why it's not a slasher. And, like, because, like, if it was a slasher, then it absolutely would not match the tone of the series. And, but on the other hand, I feel like it would have been more horror-y, because you really didn't get that much horror in here. It did feel more of a science novella than a horror novella. Whereas, like, if it was a slasher, because, like, we know what's gonna happen in here. So, like, to, like, just really, like, amp up the death scenes, I think maybe would have been better. And though there still was one or two where I was like, oh, okay then. So, yeah. So 3 stars overall. I liked it. I actually continued on with Holy Sister by Mark Lawrence. And kind of, like, to be honest, no thoughts empty. But I guess my thing is, I don't really get what the point is, like, of this series, of this story. I just don't get it. At the start, it seems to be about, the villain seems to be, what's his name? Raymel? Something like that. And then that doesn't actually seem to be the story. And then, oh, so the story is actually about the fact that the ISIS clothing is singing. But, like, I'm about 2/3 into this, and that's barely even been touched on. Like, it's just like a background thing, like, oh yeah, they're all fighting over this. Okay, tell me more. Like, we only now seem to be actually getting to, like, you know, nearly the war part, because someone wants to basically kill everyone else so they can have all of the good land that's left. And, you know, that's not cool. And, like, only now, about 2/3 of the way in, we seem to actually be getting somewhere with that. And then, so, like, I'm just kind of like, what is the point of the story? Like, I don't think any of these things or villains or anything like that have been particularly well developed. And then I'm like, okay, so maybe that's not the point of the story. The point of the story is just the journey what we go on with Nona. But then I think that would require me to actually really care about Nona, and I don't. I'm disappointed because, I mean, I knew even people who love the series have said that this is the weakest book in the series, which I think is true. And I don't think he needed to give himself more pages to give a satisfying ending, I think. And at this point, I'm not going to be satisfied. And I think the way that some of the characters, their stories have ended, are just so boring and unsatisfying. And at first I was like, well, maybe he's saying, you know, sometimes people don't get to do all their goals or stuff like that. But it's just, no, I don't like it. And the thing is, it's not as though I'm reading this book and I'm like, oh my god, I hate it. Like, when I pick it up, I'm fine. Like, it's fine. But, like, I can't say that I'm enjoying it either. So, like, I really don't know what reading I'm gonna give it. Hello. So, Also ignore the fact that I have like makeup done. I also did my nails. It's been so long since I've painted my nails and it's so messy. Yeah, really messy. But anyway, basically my graduation's tomorrow. I just wanted to, do my makeup, make sure I knew what I was doing, paint my nails, obviously, all that jazz. And then I was like, well, I'm all looking good, despite the fact I'm still in my pajamas, but whatever. Well, I'm looking like this, I should probably film a vlog update because might as well while I look like this. So yeah, so I finished Holy Sister this morning because I was cleaning my makeup brushes, and I still haven't actually really decided what I'm gonna give it, because I was thinking 2, and then I did like the end a little more than the rest of it, but I'm still not sure if it's a 3. My highest 2-star of the year is Her Majesty's Royal Coven by Juno Dawson, and I did like it more than that. I liked it less than Grey Sister, which is also a pretty low 3-star. An Unreliable Magic by Rim Chicago is below Grey Sister, so I think I'm going to put it above An Unreliable Magic by Rinch Pecco, just below Grey Sister. We're going to go with 3-star. I guess by the end, yeah, the story did have a point, which is the moon and the ice closing in. Like, that was the point of the story. But it just took a very long time to actually get there. And I didn't really like the endings of a lot of characters. There's a couple of characters where I feel like we didn't really get an ending, and then there was some where just like it was so unsatisfying to me, because obviously like it's a war that's happening, like there's deaths, and like just none of it affected me whatsoever. I did like that we finally got the connections to book 1. I did enjoy that, and that was actually really close to the end, and I would say that is around the point when I really started to enjoy it again. Like, I would say like probably like the last like 10% was actually like a 4-star. I gave the first book a 3-star, I gave the second book a 3-star. So there is like some moments in the first book that I really like, but like then there's others that I just don't care, so I gave it a 3. The second book I just like okay, that's what it is, it's okay. And then this book, as I said, I was actually leaning towards a 2, but as I said, that last like when we finally got to, I guess, the climax, and as I said, connecting it back to book 1, those flash forwards that we see, all of a sudden I like, yes, and like as I said, that was probably like, as I said, it was probably only like 10-15% of the book, but it was probably my favorite portion of the entire series, and that is why I have given it a 3-star. But overall, this book was still my least favorite in the series, and I just wish that we had have kept that energy up throughout the whole thing. I still don't really, the multiple timelines in this book just still kind of annoy me, and as I said, the characters and all that just didn't really work for me. But I definitely like, I can understand the love, but it's just like this disconnect that I just like, I can't, like, there's nothing about it that I'm like, this thing, I don't like it, and I don't get why people like this series. Like, that's not the case. It's just like, none of it works for me. It's like, I don't get the characters, like I don't feel a connection to them, but like I know, obviously from reading the series with so many people do like really love and connect to the characters, and like it's just, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the writing style or what it is, that it just doesn't connect with me. And so like overall, a 3-star series. Not the worst we've read for Backlist, not the best. So yeah, I'll see you soon. Okay, so I was going to start The Dragon's Promise by Elizabeth Lim. I have the ebook, I was gonna start it, like, And I went onto Goodreads and the average rating is really low. And I just read the synopsis and I was like, I don't want to read this series. Like, I liked the first book. I gave it 4 stars. And I feel like I sometimes feel pressure to continue 4 stars books that I've like given 4 stars to. And I just don't care. It's been a year since I read the first one. I don't care. And by me DNFing the series, like, it's not as though it's a book that is on my physical TBR or anything. I don't plan on doing a ranking Elizabeth Lynn books because she is a YA author and I just am growing out of YA. So like, there's no purpose to me reading this book except to finish a series, and I'm not even that interested in actually reading the book. So I could also just DNF the series and it would still be a finished series. So I think I'm gonna do that. And then I guess I'm going to start on N.K. Jemisin instead. Okay, this is just a really quick update. I'm only like 50 pages in. And is this person who I think this person is? Interesting. That's a good twist. And it's only early in the book. Nice. Okay, it is a bit more of a direct sequel than I thought. Hello, one step. I am 50% of the way through The Burning Maze by Rick Riordan. And I'm probably gonna finish it over the next couple of hours. I'm liking it. I don't know if I'm liking it more or less than the previous ones in the series. Also, I haven't told you what it's about. Have I told you what any book in this book is about? That's really bad. This is book 3 in the Trials of Apollo, The Burning Maze by Rick Riordan. So, the Trials of Apollo is set after the Heroes of Olympus, and Apollo has been turned human and sent down to Earth to do some trials involving the oracles. And it just kind of follows, obviously, him on these quests and the threat of the worst Roman emperors, which I would like to point out, if you're horrible history fans, their parody of Bad by Michael Jackson, which is Bad Emperors, 3 of the 4, which made me laugh because like when I read the first 2, like I was like, I recognize these names. Why do I recognize these names? And I was like, wait a minute, horrible histories. And then I was like, and I literally asked Emma, I was like, is the third one, because we didn't know yet, I was like, is it one of these? So yes, so thank you, Horrible Histories, for the knowledge. I'm really enjoying this series so far. A lot more than I did The Heroes of Olympus. I was a bit nervous going into this. I had read Percy Jackson and the Olympians. Love that series. Then I read The Heroes of Olympus last year, and overall my feelings are pretty meh on it. I gave the first and last book in the series 3 stars, and I gave the middle 3 4 stars. But honestly, the last book in the series is probably a 2 star. So, and then that kind of like made me nervous to read more Rick Riordan books. But then I had the Kane Chronicles already, and I was like, you know what, I'll just try them. And I was like, I'm pretty sure they're actually first person, and they're like that like more chaotic nature that Rick Riordan does. And so I read them, and then I was like, oh yeah, I really enjoyed these. And then I saw then this entire series on sale for like €20, like 5 books €20. That's a really good deal. So I bought them, and I was like, I'll get to them eventually, but I'm not really in a rush to get them. And I was kind of just like putting them up because I don't know why I got it in my head, but I thought this was like more like the Heroes of Olympus than like Percy Jackson and the Olympians / Kane Chronicles. Like I thought it was like third person following, like I thought that like it followed like Apollo, Meg, and then like I knew Leo and Jason were in it. And so I thought it was going to be like multi-perspective again, and that's not the case. It is once again first person perspective from Apollo the whole time. I'm really enjoying it, and I literally ask me any other book, any other series, any other author, and I will always be like, first person, ew, why would you do that? Rick Riordan, please only ever write in first person. It works so much better for you than third person. I'm sorry, The Heroes of Olympus is not it. I don't care what anyone else says. I'm enjoying this, and I do enjoy like the, you know, fresh take on it. Like obviously we still have demigods being annoyed by gods and all of that, but we are obviously following a god, and it's very interesting to be in it. So I like that it's like that bit of a twist on it. I was in like the other kind of like wrong expectation I had of going in was, as I said, I thought it was going to be like Apollo, Meg, like I knew Jason was in, and then like Piper and Leo, and so I like thought that they were like all going to be main characters, but like that's not the case. Like in book one, it's actually kind of Percy. Like he's not in it that much. I'd say maybe a third of the book Percy's in, but like he is kind of like the featured demigod. And then in book two, it's Leo who's like the featured demigod, and then in this one, it's Piper and Jason. And then I don't know about book four. Every book it's Apollo and Meg, and then like another demigod. Though I will also say, this book has Grover in it, which I was so happy about. Anytime Grover gets some attention, I love it. What can I say? So yeah, I think this might be my least favorite so far. I think the first one is definitely my favorite. I'm not sure about the second. I'm trying to remember. I'll have to think about it more, and obviously I still have half a book to go. It's just taking a bit longer to get going than the other ones, I think. So yeah, whereas I think the first two kind of went a bit faster, and I think I enjoyed the dynamic maybe between like Leo, Calypso, and Apollo a bit more than Piper and Jason. Obviously, the first book is definitely my favorite, which that is the one that has Percy Jackson in it, I must say. But I actually just enjoyed like the camp Half-Blood aspect of it, and like in that one you really see like Apollo is like full of himself, and like in that one I feel like you see the most growth in him. And in the other books, like yes, he still definitely has like his selfish like why aren't they worshipping me moments, but like he is slowly growing. I feel like the most dramatic change was in the first book, so that's probably why I prefer it the most. I think I really have anything else to say though. Okay, so we've got some updates. So where do I start? So much to do. Okay, update number 1. I have finished The Burning Maze by Rick Riordan. So I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. And I think it's my least favorite in the series so far, but like I didn't like hate it or anything. I mean, I still gave it 4 stars. But yeah, I don't think I don't really connect to it. I don't know, Piper and Jason, very meh to me. Grover, however, an icon. So I will say, I did actually feel things at the end of this book. Because, I mean, I knew what was going to happen in this book. Definitely, like, Piper and Jason, like, they started to grow on me a bit more. I never felt like either of them, and also Leo, I ever really cared about them whatsoever. In The Heroes of Olympus, I just never felt any sort of connection to them. I just never felt any sort of development of them. They were just very meh to me. And I think we saw a good improvement of that. With Leo's character, I did definitely, he started to grow on me a bit more. And then I did also get that in this book, but maybe like not as strongly. But I do think, because like obviously like this was kind of supposed to be like the last series in the Percy Jackson world. So now there's been Sun and the Star, and also there's been obviously Trials of the Gods. So like, but I can definitely see how this is like supposed to be that, because honestly the only one who hasn't appeared is Annabeth, which is kind of weird considering like she's actually the only one who has like basically appeared in like every book. I think the only one, no, I think she briefly appears in Son of Neptune, doesn't she? Yeah. So I think she's like the only one who was in like all of those 10, because Percy's not in the first one of the Heroes of Olympus. And so she's the only one who's like not in this, though she's mentioned quite a bit because she's an icon. I enjoy that. Like we're really like, more major characters, minor characters. We're really getting like just all of it kind of coming together in this series, which I think is kind of the thing that I'm enjoying most about this, is the fact that like we're getting to see like everyone, big and small. There's like a couple of people that like we've had mentioned, and it's like, oh, they're off in college and stuff, and I'm like, please let me see them, just one scene. But overall, good fun time. Next update is I've also started the next book just because I have the audiobook for my library and I was cooking, so it's like I'm gonna be productive and put something on. So I'm about 70 pages in, and this one, it would seem we're getting Raina
Frank and Hazel. So I'm excited about that. I'm probably not going to finish this in this vlog though. I mean, it technically what is going towards goals and stuff, but like I've already read one book. You don't need to hear me talk about another one. The other one is I'm about a third of the way through The Broken Kingdoms by N.K. Jemisin, and I'm kind of loving it. It's weird because like the thing is, I think this is my favorite N.K. Jemisin so far, but like the thing is, it's like the least unique of her books, I feel. I mean, it definitely still has some like unique elements to it, but like I don't know, there's something about it that's just, it's really working for me. I would say though, super long chapters. The last chapter was like 40 pages. So this, we follow Ori, I think is her name, and she is an artist. Basically, she takes in this man off the street and she knows that there's something weird about him, something magical about him, but doesn't quite know what. And then a godling gets murdered and she kind of gets wrapped up in everything that is going on there. I don't really know what to say about it because I don't want to spoil things from the first book, because it is definitely more direct of a sequel than I originally thought it was going to be. Like it is definitely like, I would say more companion than direct sequel, but like it's pretty close time-wise to the first book, and it's very much following the fallout of the events. And so like I don't want to say too much about it because it would spoil things, but it's really interesting. I'm really enjoying it. I really like our cast of characters in here. There is like a really interesting like romance element to it, and then there's also just like the magic is getting expanded on, and like there's kind of like a bit of a mystery element. I'm having a good time is basically the bottom line. And yeah, we're gonna see if I can finish this evening. I might be pushing it, but we'll give it a go. Yeah, so I finished The Broken Kingdoms by N.K. Jemisin, and I'm giving it 4 stars. I really thought for like the first third that it was actually gonna be a 5-star. I got really excited, and then there was just like a small portion, maybe like 50 pages, that just like it just didn't really work for me as well. So a bit unfortunate, but it's okay. See, the thing is that like, despite this, I think this is my favorite N.K. Jemisin book so far. I've only read 5, not that many, but you know, so far I think this is my favorite. And but like it's the one I have the least to say about. I think like it is a new cast of characters. You know, we see some characters from the first book a bit, but it is mostly new characters. And I do think that I prefer the cast of characters in this from the first book, which is why I prefer it. Like, despite the fact it's like probably my favorite, I feel like I have the least to say about it, but I did really enjoy it. And as I said, there's my only 2 criticisms really is, number one, there was like that like 50 pages in the middle that just like really slowed down the story for me. And then the other thing is I find that it had a lot of the same like plot beats as the first book, and also even like a little bit with this like 5th season. I think like the end definitely took a bit of a different twist to it, and I do prefer the characters in here, so that's why I prefer this one. But it is, I'd say like it's kind of, but like the overall like feeling and tone is very similar to book 1. See, at first I thought it was going to be like a bit of a murder mystery kind of element, but no, you find out pretty early on what's happening, and like the tone changes, and that's kind of like the 50 pages that like had me a bit do I like where this is going? But then it like picked up again and I enjoyed it. The way the story ended, the way we find out the reason behind the writing style, I think that is something I love about N.K. Jemisin's books. Number one, I said this I think when I read The 100,000 Kingdoms, I love her reveals. She is like the queen of fantasy reveals, and there was like 2 in here. So there's one that like you already saw me reacting to that. I was like, I did not expect this to be what this book was about. And then the second one is, again, as I said, kind of relating to the writing style, which is also what happened in book 1 of this, and also obviously in the 5th season. And the thing is, like, this is like, it's a fairly standard writing style. Like every so often she has like little breaks to kind of be like, I should probably catch you up. So like this is definitely like the most normal writing style out of all of them. In the first one, there's like nearly like these weird memory things that keep happening, and like obviously that kind of adds to the mystery of the story. And then in this one, as I said, there is like those like breaks where she's like, well, I need to like remind you of things. Where she's kind of like, oh, little like side tangent, some background info. So I do really enjoy that N.K. Jemisin likes to play around with that stuff.
And as I said, I did overall really enjoy it. I don't think I have anything else to say. Do I? I don't think so. So yeah, so that brings us to the end of this vlog. I definitely didn't read as much as I wanted to. Obviously, I wanted to read like 6 or 7 books, and that did not happen. I DNF'd a series in this video, and like I continued 2, and then I finished 2. So yeah, and then obviously the last 2 were also books that were on my physical TBR, and I'm working towards ranking videos for all those. So like I do think like goals achieved. Thank you guys so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.